Cool. Base, to kick off with an opening question. Obviously, 13th ranked in the world, Colombia. How are you feeling about facing a side, and what's it mean for the team to be challenging themselves at this point in the cycle building up to the World Cup?
Yeah, I mean they're a very good team. Got some very good players. It's definitely going to be a challenge. A tough challenge, but one that we're excited about. These are the sort of games that you always want to play against top teams, top players, and a chance to really test ourselves. We know, come World Cup, these are the type of teams that are going to be at the World Cup, and if we're going to do well, we have to start competing and beating this type of team. So, yeah, big challenge, but yeah, exciting to test ourselves.
Okay, over to you guys.
Hey guys, good to see you both. Darren, how have the preparations gone? And second part of that is, do you think everyone will be available for Sunday?
Hopefully everyone will be available that's here. We know we've lost players, in the last couple of weeks, so that has affected the build-up, I suppose. It did at the time, but we were able to bring in players, good players, and now we're all here together. We've had two and a half training sessions together. Everybody's fit, everybody's well. So at this stage, yeah, everybody's fully fit and up for selection, and we're in a good place.
How do you reset after losing all the players that you did?
I think it's something that we've dealt with pretty much every tour. We've never had to deal with losing this many players, but I think every tour we've lost one or two, after naming the squad, which is difficult, always a challenge. And, I've said recently, at some stage, everyone's going to be fit and available. And so for me, that's quite exciting because we haven't really seen everybody together fit at the same time in 3 years. So we know that's going to come, and when it does, that'll be probably our real potential that we can then show. But what it does now, we've brought players in. It gives them an opportunity to really stake their claim. People are hungry to show that either they should have been selected in the first place, or that they're a longer term prospect. So I think it's good for them.
Thank you.
I'll jump in.
Go for it, Bonnie.
Sorry. Hey guys, I guess firstly at Baze, how do you kind of shape up without a player like Chris Wood there? Do you put in someone as a direct swap, or is it an opportunity to maybe change things up and change the front line around?
Yeah, what we've brought in is different players. We've obviously got Costa, Bueno and Andre, and young Jesse that have played up front. They're all different. We'll obviously make some selections and play one of them, but no doubt 2 or 3 of them will get game time. So potentially we'll get to see the difference. We won't change too much about how we play, but obviously Woodsy brings different strengths, and if we're playing one of the other 3, there is differences in the final, or the ball into them, or the final cross that the team need to adjust to. Hard to replace Woodsy. He's a Premier League goal scorer, and unfortunately we haven't got many of them. But like I said to Michael, we've got some guys that are pretty hungry to showcase themselves and take this opportunity.
And just for you, Michael, taking on Colombia is, it's the toughest opposition you've had, I believe, in this World Cup cycle. What's your mindset like going into a match that's probably going to be quite difficult for you, especially as a defender as well?
Yeah, I think we're very aware of the challenges that they have some top players playing at the best clubs in the world. A great challenge, but one that if we're anything but at our best, we're going to create problems for ourselves. So it's, obviously preparations have gone well. And also we want to build on the performances that we had in the last window against other top teams. But as Baze mentioned earlier, is heading to the World Cup, we need to test ourselves. We obviously faced African opposition, European opposition, and now some of the best teams from South America. So it won't be easy, but it's a challenge we're up for.
And Baze, just lastly from me, what's an acceptable result, I guess, against Colombia?
Well, an acceptable result would be a good performance with a win. A draw, great. we don't go into any game not expecting to get a result. You know, the boys are confident, you know, confident in each other and themselves. So, yeah, I think we're positive, but we also know the challenge. You know, we're not silly. We're not going to go out there saying we're going to beat Colombia. But, yeah, we're heading into the game preparing to try to beat them.
Just for you, Michael, of course, you're a senior figure within the squad. When you look at the attacking players that Colombia have, how do you approach the defensive unit and kind of leading that line against players such as Luis Diaz, who is in incredible form for Bayern Munich at the moment? They've got a host of incredible attacking talent. How do you approach kind of leading some of the younger players and defending against that kind of attacking unit?
I mean, throughout my whole career, I've never, any defensive performance I've had, it's not just me individually. I think it's always the whole group. And I think the past handful of games that I've played with the likes of Finn Sermon, Tyler, Franny as well on my left side, everyone has worked their asses off as a group to make it easier on each other. And I think it's against top players like these, it's never an individual performance that's going to shut down, for example, Luis Diaz. I think it's the whole collective, and it's, I mean, not just the back four and goalkeeper. I think we understand that what we have to do is it's the whole 11 guys keeping things as compact as we can. That's going to make things more difficult than expecting one player to just pocket, as you say, one of the more informed players in the world right now.
And Darren, how do you approach that tactically, seeing that kind of attacking lineup that they can field?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a style of play, you know, that we don't tweak too much away from. We obviously are aware of a lot of their strengths, and we've raised them, and we've looked at how we can help defend against them. But like Michael says, I think we need everybody to be at their top of their game, you know, and to work together, help each other. It's going to be some tough moments. They've got some good players, but, you know, if everybody's, you know, in that frame of mind to work together and work hard, then, you know, we can deal with that.
And Darren, of course, Jesse Randall, quite a fantastic goal in the derby the other day. Were you watching on and watching the form that he was in?
Yeah, definitely. You know, he's a player I know very well. I've tracked him for a long time. Obviously, we named a squad without him. I spoke to him a week beforehand, and we had a good conversation. I think it's a big season for him. You know, broke into the team and started the season so well. And at the time when I spoke to him, there was only 2 games into the season. So the challenge was to him to have a big season and to perform every week. And, you know, then the next week he did really well. Something happened to the squad, and I brought him in. So football, things happen in football, and sometimes they happen for a reason. And yeah, Jesse's been bright and lively at training this week, and he's a super potential young player.
And just lastly, Darren, you know, you've mentioned having this style of play that you want to stick to your principles regardless of the opposition. You have a key identity, but you know, you've mentioned without Chris Wood, having players that can bring different strengths to the team and to the attacking front three. How does that change the style? Is the style still the same, or do you have to make tweaks to the kind of channels that they run, the way that you build up?
Yeah, slight tweaks. You know, we've got some players that are runners. You know, they're running behind really well. The timing of their runs is really well. I think we've got into a position over the last year where we're putting a lot of balls into the box. You know, for Woodsy. You know, and trying to feed him and replicate some of the service he gets at his club, and that's hard to replace. So we've definitely talked around the type of balls that we feed into the box for these different strikers. You know, because they are different, and that obviously, you know, we're aware. You know, Chris is a big presence, you know, for certain types of crosses. So yeah, we're going to look to try and get into different type of areas, and maybe provide some different type of delivery for whoever takes his place.
I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank
you. Just
Hi,
a
Darren.
thought, Darren. Oh, sorry for listening. Go.
Thank you. We were speaking to a couple of players earlier in the week, and I think Joe Bell mentioned that Colombia might kind of play on the edge of the rules. Is that something you've taken into consideration around, I guess, the players knowing that that might be happening?
I mean, they're South American. You know, they've got this reputation, I suppose, of knowing the dark arts a little bit, and playing on the edge at times. So we've talked about it. You know, it's something that we probably need to keep developing ourselves. You know, we've got a group of really good young players and older players, but a really good group of honest players that, you know, potentially haven't been put in those positions that often, playing against this type of opposition. So, you know, Michael comes up against these type of players every week in MLS, and so do some of our other guys. But when you put these groups together, the South American groups, and, you know, my memories of the Peru games back in the day are very similar, in Costa Rica, those type of teams. They've got this real football understanding of certain ways of playing. So it's definitely something that we've made aware, but we need to keep developing some things like that sort of street game, street knowledge, game intelligence at times. But we're also really happy with a group of honest, hard-working players that we have in the squad.
And does a time like that also, I guess, the discipline or the potential for cards or that type of thing come into it as well in terms of your own players?
I mean, definitely we don't want to be losing players, that's for sure. That would make things really difficult for us. So, I mean, we're a team that is good disciplined. You know, we've got a real good discipline throughout the squad. But there's going to be some challenging moments, and players, you know, at times need to get involved and look after themselves, look after each other, and get through those tough moments. But we definitely, discipline's really strong for us.
And Michael, as Darren mentioned, you come up against some of the similar types of players that you'll play across this window. Do you have advice for your teammates around that type of thing?
I mean, it's one of those things where you can give advice, but in the heat of the moment, you can find players who can be crafty and get under your skin. So I think this is just a good opportunity to experience this in like a friendly match, as opposed to at a World Cup that could have massive consequences on the team. So we'll all have words with the whole squad about how to approach it, but until you're really in it and experience it firsthand, it's you won't really find out how you deal with it. So I think it'll just be a great learning experience. Everyone's aware of it going into it, but good to figure it out before we might potentially come across it on the world stage.
Thank you.
Any further questions from anybody?
Yeah, I just got one. Darren, do you think this is possibly the hardest window of the year and one of the harder ones of your tenure?
Definitely. You know, the rankings prove that. You know, a team ranked 13 in the world, and where these two teams finished in their qualification, you know, finished above Brazil. You know, beat Argentina, Ecuador did, and you know, great results throughout the year. Pretty consistent, both teams got some really good players. Which is exciting for us. You know, we've played some big teams. You know, go back over the year with Sweden 2 years ago was the hardest, and recently Norway were pretty high. So it's a good opportunity to test ourselves. But you're right; these are pretty tough games. But this could be a World Cup. It could be a World Cup type double, if you know what I mean.
And Michael, could I just get a thought from you on your teammate, on Finn Sermon, and his development in the last sort of couple of years, last 18 months, both at MLS and for the All Whites?
I mean, I think this season he's been really strong. And I feel like in that Portland team, how they play is like pretty unpredictable, and as a defender, it's like he doesn't have the consistency around him, and I think he is the single consistent one on that team. I think they're a team where the goalkeeper changes a lot, his fullbacks, his centre back partners change all the time, but he's always the consistent one in there and I think that speaks to how he's adjusted to the league, and I think his performances there have been massive, and I think as he continues to grow, I mean, who knows where, if he'll still be in the MLS in a year or two, with kind of how he's progressed especially this season. I think he's really come on, great head on his shoulders, and yeah, just obviously the times where I've slotted him beside him, he's been as solid as he could be. So yeah, obviously great kid, and hoping he really kicks on.
Thank you.
Cool. Unless there are any further questions, we will call it there. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Baze, for doing this evening. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And yeah, good luck for the game this weekend.
Cool, cheers. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Good to see you.
Good luck, guys.
Cheers, guys.